Coming up, we have stories about an update to a Best of Redditor update story, absent parents, birthday presents gone wrong, cookie conundrums, poor financial planning, and cake reward stories, a Best of Redditor update story, and in the words of Candy Thunder, the spiciest of spicy reward stories. Hell yeah. Make sure you're subscribed on the YouTube side to stay up to date on all the latest content. You will definitely see more there than you will here. Remember, it is free to subscribe on that side. If you haven't already, we would appreciate you hitting that subscribe button. This is an update to the "My wife is addicted to the gym and it's ruining our marriage" story. This update was posted July 2nd, 2024. I have a baby, a little girl. I'm a dad. She was born yesterday at 11:57 p.m., 2 weeks early. As he's done before, she was having some pains off and on, and he left for work yesterday morning. She works from home on Mondays. She told me around 8:30 a.m. she was having contractions 17 minutes apart. The same thing happened not long ago, but then by evening, all the pains stopped. I was at work late, so I told her to keep me posted. A little later, she said they were 15 minutes apart and she had some other signs and it might be actual labor starting. I asked her if she needed somebody there with her. She said she wanted me to come be with her. I didn't even mean to volunteer myself. She was scared. I didn't even ask why she didn't call him. I left work and went over to his house. Okay, time out, because some people may not understand or remember what we're talking about. We need a recap of the previous story.
Okay, TLDR. Wife was pregnant, but also having an affair at the same time with the gym trainer from her gym.
Yeah.
And he thought she was addicted to going to the gym. Anyway, she ended up leaving her husband to live with the trainer. They did the DNA test. Turned out it was her husband's baby, not trainer dude. So now that's where they're at. She's going into labor. But she does live with the gym trainer.
Gotcha. Okay. So that's where we're at right now. And now she's apparently going into labor, and bio dad here lives separately from them. Uncomfortable doesn't begin to describe it, but there were obviously more important things going on. He wasn't there. She didn't even contact him. She said she just wanted it to be me and her there. In her words, he hadn't seen her pee or shit herself yet, but I've witnessed all that stuff already, so she was more comfortable with me there. Oh, well, that I'm sure makes him feel loads better. Thanks for that. I really tried to be as nice and supportive as possible. Set the whole thing about her affair, our marriage, everything to the side for a brief time. I don't really know what my purpose was being there, but I think she just needed somebody there so she didn't feel alone. She spent most of the time stretching and doing some sort of yoga labor routine and bouncing on this huge exercise ball. I twiddled my thumbs for the most part and looked through a bunch of his belongings. I was timing the contractions and they were consistent and slowly did get closer together. So I thought it was probably actually going to happen. It wasn't nearly far enough along to go to the hospital yet, and it was getting close to when he'd get home. I was planning on how I'd handle that when she called me into the bathroom to ask her if I thought her water broke. It wasn't like in the movies with this huge gush of water. So he got home and I was there. He came into the house and the first thing he asked is, "What are you doing here?" I think he thought something else was going on. "No, you just left and went to work and left her alone when she was scared." He said he was home and he'd be with her until it was time to go to the hospital. He put his hand on my shoulder and said something like, "Thanks, bud. I got it from here and we'll call you when we're on our way to the hospital." He called me bud. I told him I wasn't his buddy and to off. There you go, OP. Nice. Nice. Don't call me buddy, pal, please. I could tell she wanted me to leave. I'm not sure she really wanted me to leave so much as she was in labor and the tension between the two of us wasn't what she needed, and I knew that. It was his house, so what was I supposed to do? I left and prayed they'd actually call me instead of letting me know the next day that my kid had been born. She texted me a few hours later to say that the doctor told her to go to the hospital. At that point, I still didn't know if I was going to be waiting outside or what he'd decide was best for his apparent wife and child. I was allowed to be in the room. I didn't force my way in there. She said she wanted me to be there. He was there too. By far the single most awkward experience of my life, and the only reason I was able to excuse it is because she told me she wanted me there and I didn't want to miss the chance to be there when my kid was born and to hold my kid before he did. I can't imagine what the doctors and nurses were thinking. Humiliating. Then the guy tried to police what I could see. I put the baby in there. He's watching, and it's like, this is still my wife and that's my baby. I chose to stay dignified and I ignored him the entire time. I was there to do whatever she told me to do and my focus wasn't on him. But in any other setting, I don't think I would have been able to hold back. The baby came flying out. I mean, as far as labor goes, these are the nurse's words, and I trust labor and delivery nurses to know what they're talking about. She tore very bad because the baby came out so fast. The baby is so tiny, barely 6 pounds and only 18 inches, but perfectly healthy. I went home for a short rest, although I couldn't really feel rest at all. I went back today, and of course, he was there. Surprisingly, he said he was going to give us some time alone with the baby. Not sure if she had previously asked him to do that when I showed up or not, didn't ask. He even brought us all food back when he returned a few hours later. I wondered if mine might be poisoned, but I tried to be nice. He's still not gone, so I'm wondering how long he'll be around. I just can't let myself do anything that will make her try to keep me away from my daughter now. I don't want them making it difficult for me. I'd prefer not to share her name publicly, but I can confirm it's the name we chose for our daughter years ago. He had no say, and he hasn't said anything about the name at all. It kills me to see him holding her, though. I eventually left because it was just too much sitting there pretending to be like some bizarre Three's Company. I'll know I will get my time with her when he's not around. He's already posting them on his social media. I don't know how I'm going to do this, but I'm going to figure it out. I just have to find a way to be the bigger person because I won't let him or their relationship discourage me from being my daughter's dad. I totally get doing anything for your kids now, and if it means having to pretend to get along with him, I will. Relevant/additional comments from OP before we do that. This would be the most uncomfortable situation ever. So your wife has an affair, goes and has your baby together with her affair partner there. You have to stand there and watch him hold her. You have to see him posting social media pictures with your brand new baby on his profile like it's his prize. Like, how could you not just unwind mentally? I would unravel. I would just unravel. Relevant and additional comments from OP. It is not about pick me. I just have a hard time not caring about her anymore. The fact that she was carrying my child made it a lot more difficult. Otherwise, I could have and would have cut all ties with her. I don't know, still feel the need to protect her or help her. Hopefully it'll get easier now that she and the baby are two separate people. Yeah, they're really not though, man. Honestly, I'm considering doing something pretty stupid. She's getting discharged from the hospital early tomorrow morning. I don't want them to go home with him, so I'm thinking about asking her to come home to our house instead. It's ridiculous and setting us up for disaster. It wouldn't be to be with her. I don't want my newborn baby going home to another man's house. I don't think it's for the baby's sake that I want to stop it. It's for my sake. But it's not like we'd be divorced and living together forever. So we'd live together for some period of time, but eventually we'd go our separate ways, date other people, and so on. I can't trust her again. That would probably be worse for our kid in the long run. At least by being in two separate homes in the first place, this will just be the norm for her, and she won't have to go through the heartache of being one family splitting into two. I just don't know how I'm going to be able to handle seeing my child going from the hospital to his house. I'm honestly scared to be present when they're discharged because I'm not sure if I can control myself. 2, I caved and I asked her to come home with me when they were discharged from the hospital. I framed it more like, if you don't want to go home with him, you don't have to. I let her know she could come to our house if she wanted to. She said she can't. Why? Because he's done so much for her. He moved her into his house. They have a whole nursery set up. He loves her. I don't love her anymore after what she did, her words, but he loves her and accepts her even with the baby. She thinks she'll never find anyone who will love her and love our baby too, so she can't risk losing him. I tried to tell her she doesn't owe him anything. Just because he let her move in there and there's a nursery there doesn't mean she's indebted to him, especially not when it comes to something this big. She said, I want to, but I just can't. I'm sorry. Red flags were present way before this point in the story, but this is the first time I'm pressing the red flags button because she said, I want to come with you, but I just can't. Sorry. What? Expand, please. What do you mean you want to, but you can't? So now you're alluding to the fact that you're being controlled and you have my child with you? I'm getting a little more unraveled by the moment. I left. I told her I couldn't sit there and watch them get into his car and go to his house. As a consolation, I got you can come over and see her tomorrow. Great. I know she did this. This is all her doing, but why am I the one feeling like I failed? This wouldn't have happened if I hadn't immediately shut her out. I basically just pushed her to him. Original OP on the AP posting pictures of the baby online. Today, I told him he can't post pictures of her online. He said he was just posting a few pictures to say how proud and happy he was of my wife. Wasn't weird. I said he can post her all he wants, but he can't post the baby. He didn't seem to be taking it seriously, so I told him I know he wishes he'd won this one, but he didn't. She's my kid, not his. If he's genuine about being all buddy-buddy and respecting me as the actual father, he'll respect my request. He said, okay, he understood. We'll see. That's the end. What the f***? This update better have an update. This update better have an update, because there's no way that this doesn't get messy, right? Yes, OP needs a very, very, very good lawyer. There's a lot of risk involved for him right now, and I hope he's got a support network, because this is not the kind of thing that you can survive on your own. Hey there, it's Dusty Thunder with another Reddit story for you. This one from AITA is titled, Am I the Astronaut for Telling My Kids They Aren't My Problem Anymore? My ex-wife and I got sick of each other about 10 years into our marriage. We had 3 kids by then, and we tried to make it work for their sake. It did not work, and we divorced. I let her keep the house because it was the kids' home and I wanted them to have some stability. I paid child support and I paid for extracurriculars on top of that. I had to work a lot of hours to afford everything I was paying for, but I thought it was worth it. My mental health improved being away from my ex, and the kids were taken care of. I tried to stay involved in their lives, but I couldn't support them financially as well as be there for every event. I made an effort to be there for all the important things, birthdays, Christmas, holidays. I would also make sure that my custody time was sacrosanct. I would turn off my work phone and be present when we were together. But no matter how I tried, they got resentful that I wasn't always there. It didn't matter to them that they only got to participate in these activities because the only way they got to participate in these activities was because I was sacrificing for them. They wanted me to pay for the extras, but somehow not work to pay for the extras. When they got to be older teens, I tried reasoning with them, but their argument was that their mom worked and still managed to attend. We grew apart and they cut me out of their lives. I hated it. I still made sure that they all graduated from college without debt. One of them got a scholarship, so I actually had a little extra money to give them. I rarely saw them after they left high school. I have not seen them in years now. My ex passed away and I sold the house. It was mine, as per our agreement. She could live there for free until she got remarried. She never did. The kids were expecting to get money from her estate, and they did. After everything was said and done, they each got about $31,000. What they didn't get was a share of the profit from the house. That will fund my retirement. I disliked my ex, but she was a good mom. I never wanted to get this money this way. I would have been fine letting her live there another 30 years. The kids came to my house to talk to me. They said that they were all counting on that money. I asked why. What made them think their mom was going to die on vacation at 53? They said that it wasn't fair that I got the house. I said I owned the house and that their mom didn't leave it to me. As part of our divorce, I owned the house and even paid the taxes and for maintenance. They said that they could really use some help. I said that none of them were really my problem anymore. I hadn't been invited to their homes and I hadn't been asked to participate in their weddings. I attended as a guest. They all think I'm being an asshole and stingy. I think they would not have bothered talking to me except for the money. You're 100% right on that one. Top comment on this one. Yeah, I'm glad he called them out on that. Despite being divorced from their mother while they supposedly had a close relationship with her, he's the one saying he didn't want the money this way and wishes she was still here, while they were saying they were counting on it, which is such a weird response to someone's premature death. Even if they expected to inherit, it shouldn't have been for potentially decades yet. I can't imagine that being my priority after losing a parent. Yeah, you know what? That's a damn good point too. That being the thing that being the thing that they are focusing on right now is pretty wild. They could really use the help, they say. And to show up, like, I mean, I do not think he chose wisely when they were kids. There's no fixing that now. I can, at the ripe age of 42, grandpa here, remember, I can look back and now say that if you're working your ass off to provide, but you're missing out on being a part of the family, you're missing out. And there is a balance there somewhere. So I'm sure he regrets his decision in not being a part of their lives more. He's justified it to himself by saying that he provided everything that they were able to do. And I'm sure he did. And maybe they wouldn't have been able to do what they needed to do. I think part of the problem there is that if that is the arrangement, that needs to be something that the co-parents are both on the same page about, because if mom was here saying, oh, he just chose not to be here instead of he's working his ass off to make sure that you guys get to do these things, that definitely doesn't help the message, right? It doesn't help the message at all. So I don't think he chose right back then. And even after all of that, it's not like he tried to form a relationship with them. Neither did they. They didn't do this. They didn't do it either. And they have their opinion that I'm sure has something to do with what their mom communicated to them back in the day. But they're grown ass adults now who have the choice and the free will to mend that fence or to start a relationship if they want to. If they aren't going to start that relationship, they can't come to him and say, yo, we want that money that they have no claim to. There's no legal claim to it. Why they thought they were going to get it, unknown. The fact that they're so eager for it so shortly after she passed is like, we don't know how long it was after she passed, actually. It was long enough for him to be able to sell the house, so maybe they've had time to grieve. Maybe they've already grieved in their own way, and now it's something different. But unless she had told them that they were going to get the money from that, they'd have no reason to think that, right? No debt from college with 3 kids. He did enough to set them up. Agreed, Amy. Like, that's a huge deal. That is a huge, huge, huge deal. He helped them so much, and someday they're going to figure that out. But right now, they're just seeing him as a checkbook again. For them to have no appreciation for or desire for a relationship with him, they have to be unaware of him providing everything that he provided. They have to be unaware of how good they have at having no debt out of college. They have to be unaware. And either, I don't know, he tried to reason with them several times, but they already had their opinions formed. This is on them. So the question, am I the astronaut for telling my kids they aren't my problem anymore? In the context of how he had to say it, I'm going in TA. In the grand scheme of the whole story, everyone sucks here. I think that this is a pickle that could have been avoided, but in this specific instance, they are clearly in the wrong. They're not even trying to seek building a relationship first. They just want the money. They didn't even pitch it as like a package deal. It wasn't like, hey, we'd really like to start spending more time with you and we'd like the proceeds of the house. It's just, we want the proceeds of the house. We need the stuff. We want the money. That's it. Hey there, it is Dusty Thunder with another Reddit story for you. This one is from the AITA subreddit and is titled, Am I the Astronaut for Not Giving My Son a Present at His Birthday Party? My 47 male son, 5 male, had a birthday party last Saturday. At the school my son attends, it is traditional for parents to throw their children birthday parties. The kids invite their school friends to these parties. They participate in contests and play games, eat pizza, etc. I never had a problem with this, although before my son went to this school, we used to celebrate his birthday at home. So let's get to the heart of the conflict. My wife organized a traditional party for my son. He invited his school friends. His siblings, 7 male, 8 female, were naturally included. Since most of the work of organizing the party was taken care of by my wife, I had to play the role of toastmaster of sorts at the party. Among all the other things was a contest in which the kids had to run at speed to the other end of the yard and collect plastic fruits and vegetables in a basket. The reward was candy, which my son loves very much. This little prize was supposed to go to all the kids in the end because I thought they could all handle vegetable picking. My son is a really good runner, but 2 things happened at once. First, just 10 minutes before this competition, he twisted his leg while jumping on the trampoline. Nothing too serious, but he limped for about 5 minutes and then said he was fine. Second, as he was running back with his full basket, he tripped and fell. All the vegetables scattered on the ground. He picked them back up and ran back to the start, but he ran out of time. So the contest was over and I started handing out candy to all the kids. My son reached out for candy too, but I tried to be as friendly as possible and told him that he didn't make it to the timer. This is not what we thought it was, ladies and gentlemen. He looked very upset, and after that, he didn't have as much fun at the party anymore. After the party, I had an argument with my wife. I said that children should be taught responsibility from a young age. Yes, it wasn't my son's fault that he tripped and fell, but he still didn't make it. Why should I make an exception and give him a present? My wife said, because he's only 5 years old and he had a birthday party. She and I barely spoke after that. I told my friends what happened, and some took my side and some took my wife's side. My father took my side and my mom took my wife's side. Am I the astronaut. This is totally not what we thought it was. Top comment here. You're the asshole. He's 5. It was his birthday and he hurt himself. Birthday parties are meant to be fun celebrations and rewards. Do you know why kids love Halloween and Christmas and birthdays? Because everyone gets love and attention and rewards just for showing up. It's whimsical and indulgent, and that's the point. It's part of what makes childhood magical. As a camp counselor for 5 to 6 years, we would never design games and activities with stark winners and losers. That's just not fun for that age group and not really the point. This is not the appropriate venue to be teaching children about responsibility. Losing a competition isn't responsibility. It's just a painful part of life. Organized sports are a much better place to teach about work ethic, teamwork, and winning and losing. Your child probably won't remember this specific event in 10 years, but if this demonstrates a pattern of how you parent, I gotta tell you something. He will absolutely remember how you made him feel and how interactions with you make him feel. Oh shit. That commenter's right. I feel like, except for one thing in this comment, I think this kid will remember this because it's not just the normal interaction. If this is how dad is all the time, it's not just the normal interaction of like, well, you failed. Sorry. I don't think, even if that is a normal interaction with dad, this happened at his birthday party where basically all of his other friends got something and he didn't. He got like actively punished at his own birthday party. Core memory unlocked, bro. That's a core memory now. What? The fact that he's still not seeing it is the hardest part of all of this. He still doesn't see how he screwed up. Still doesn't see it. I understand his intentions. And let's talk about this for a second. Let's dive into the scale here because I understand his intentions. His intentions are like, I don't want to reinforce like receiving something, a participation trophy in general. He's against participation trophies, whatever. You do you as you teach the normal sense of that. Birthdays are a completely separate thing, especially when it's your own damn kid's birthday. There probably should have been some kind of filter to see this situation through. And not just in black and white like he sees everything else. There should be some kind of exception, some kind of filter, because this is his freaking birthday party where like the normal rules do not apply. And the consideration here, like many of you have pointed out, imagine how embarrassed this child was for that happening in front of his friends. Imagine how much worse this was feeling for him because it happened at his freaking birthday party. Dad never once thought about any of these other things. He's like, oh, I'm not going to teach him you win shit for failing. Is it evil? Or is it a straight up ASCON 2? Like, you definitely shouldn't have done that, dude. This is almost like a Brozo ASCON 2 or an ASCON 1. What do you think? Candy Thunder is a firm 1. I know you don't like. I don't like it either. I'm trying to think like he thinks he's doing the right thing. Everybody thinks they're doing the right thing. Everybody has their own truth. Everybody's the hero in their own story. What he did, was it a terrible human thing? Or was it ignorance that was they definitely shouldn't have done this? And that's where the Brozo ASCON 2 or an ASCON 1 comes in. It's kind of split. I mean, I see more 1 than I see 2 on here, but there's definitely a mixed opinion here. Let's put it this way. I don't know which one he is. I don't know if he's like truly evil and just doesn't give a shit, or if he's just dumb and blind to the fact that he's an idiot. So he's either an ASCON 1 or he's an ASCON 2 and a Brozo.
So Tony and I both say ASCON 1, a birthday party is not where you teach responsibility.
Agreed.
Like that is the farthest thing from that, especially like you get like 8, maybe 9 years of like birthday parties that are like
fun.
Yeah,
like, yeah.
These are things your kids are going to remember. Like instead say you did a great job, you got back up and you crossed the line.
Agreed.
Like here's your candy for that.
So if it's negligence, I think it's ASCON 2 Brozo. If it is just indifference, then it's an ASCON 1.
Would this sway you from ASCON 2 to ASCON 1 in that he wouldn't listen to like what the wife was saying and doubled down and like went to look for people who were on his side? He's not taking what his wife said. He's like, well,
he's defending it instead.
He's still
and trying
defending
to
his actions and still thinks that he did the right thing, even when people are telling him,
damn,
you hurt your child in this moment.
Okay, so there was something that Stevie Wonder said in our podcast early on, and I bring it up every once in a blue moon, but it is if you know that there's a better way, or you know that you screwed up and you still don't try to fix it, then you're the asshole. And damn it. Hey, meanwhile, Orca Moon dropping a lovely music, which was super cool to watch. Hell yeah. Yeah, that was very, very cool. I think they're right. I think his follow-up behavior definitely reinforces an AskCon one. Let us know in comments when this posts, though. Hey there, it is Dusty Thunder once again, and I have a story for you from Reddit, from AITA, titled, Am I the Astronaut for Baking Only One Flavor of Cookies? Are you trying to starve? Are you trying to starve the nation? You only baked one flavor of cookies? How dare you? My 22 female brother has 2 nieces from 2 different women. Anne, 6, and Zoe, 8, never married to any of them. I was away for college, but got a job in her hometown, so I moved back. After settling in, I offered to help babysit my nieces on Saturday mornings as my brother and the girls' moms work. I've only been babysitting for about a month. The girls are well behaved and get along. They are both animal lovers, so a lot of our activities centered around my pet rabbits and parrot. Last week, however, the girls were watching a program that showed them how to bake cookies. They asked me if they could. I don't have an oven, but I have a small air fryer. I had a pretty good recipe for peanut butter cookies and asked the girls if they would like to make peanut butter cookies, and Anne said peanut butter was her favorite, but Zoe said she wanted oatmeal cranberry. I asked if they could compromise, as it wasn't practical to prepare 2 types, with the air fryer being so small and the amount of time we had left before their moms picked them up, but they insisted. That was the flavor they wanted. Neither has a food allergy of any kind. I looked at the time, told Zoe that since Anne and I voted for peanut butter, we would make peanut butter cookies, and she could have her flavor next time. Zoe sulked a little bit, but was still involved in the cookie making. Hold on, before we go any further, Zoe is 8. Then they watched cartoons until their moms came over just as the cookies were finished, so I packed them up for the girls and left. Zoe's mom called a few days later and said that Zoe told her what happened and that she felt I was favoring Anne. She said that the right thing to do would be to tell both girls to wait another week so I could borrow larger baking devices so that I could bake the cookies for both girls, instead of telling one girl that they had to wait while having to watch another girl get exactly what she wanted. I thought she was entitled and didn't pay her a lot of thought, but yesterday she told me that she would have her mom babysit Zoe for the next couple of weeks. I guess she was really unhappy. I wonder, was I the asshole? No. But you know what? It's interesting because I feel like in this application, the hard ass, sometimes you lose mentality. This is one of the times when you do enforce that. This is one of the times when you do teach them that lesson. If this was Zoe's birthday party, probably wouldn't have gone that way, right? That's the application. Candy Thunder's like, yeah, see, now you get it. You lost this one. You got outvoted. I'm sorry. You don't lose. You just have to wait a little longer. That's it. But for mom to get so pissed off about this to where she's going to have somebody else start babysitting, here's what I think. I think you still win here because there's a reason that you were babysitting in the first place and not her mom, right? There must be some kind of pain attached to her mom watching her kid, watching Zoe. Otherwise, you would have never started doing it. So she's going to experience that pain again whenever she has her mom start watching her kid. And if it's worth it for her to endure that pain because of something this petty on her part, cool. Enjoy that pain, bish. I'm proud of you for establishing a boundary here. And if she doesn't like it, she can take her kid somewhere else, whatever. They're family, which makes it more complicated. But still, you as a care provider established a boundary here to be like, okay, I'm not going to blatantly do things that do not make sense or that teach these kids to be entitled assholes like you. Do I narrate the YouTube channel Explore with us? I do not. I wish I did, though. Definitely sounds like a jealousy thing for mom. Oh, I forgot that these 2 kids are sisters or half sisters with different moms. So It's not even like a cousin thing. It is. These are competing siblings now. That sounds like that sounds like hell. That sounds like hell. And OP, I still think you're doing the right thing here by not allowing them to mold you, not bending to their will. Because if you do it this one time, you're going to bend to their will a million more times. Unreasonable requests. Unreasonable. OP, we went NTA on. Yeah, Zoe's mom for sure here. I think we're pretty safe to give a Bizzo too, because this is she ranks higher than her. She will be the heir to the throne before Anne, who's 2 years younger. I think the oldest should decide. You mean because the oldest is yours? Well, yes. No. Hey there, it's Dusty Thunder with a spicy story for you. This one is titled, Am I the Astronaut for Not Letting My Daughter Have Ibuprofen? I, 40 male, have a daughter, 14 female, who I have with my ex, 38 female. My ex-wife and I have been divorced for over 2 years, and since we're living in the same city, we both have joint custody of our daughter. She stays with me for 2 weeks of the month and stays the other 2 weeks with her mother. 3 days ago, when my daughter came to my place, she was on her period and was having ibuprofen to deal with menstrual cramps. Think we know where this is going now, right? Now, I generally tend to avoid allopathy medicines unless it's absolutely necessary, like conditions that have you hospitalized. I mean, for things like a cold or a fever, I think it's best to sleep it off instead of burdening your body with unnecessary pills. I noticed my daughter popping pills and got worried that she was going to become too dependent on them for a natural process, like a menstrual cycle. The sentence warranted the red flags. We'll see where it goes, though. I asked my wife about this, and she told me our daughter has an irregular cycle, and so she has very painful cramps and needs the pills for the first 3 days. I wasn't too fussed about this, and I sat her down and talked to her about how unnecessary these pills are and how they will ruin her body when she's older and needs to be having a child. Menstrual cramps hurt, yes, but they're normal and they shouldn't be artificially reduced. I'm more than willing to allow her to rest and not do any of the chores while she's on her period too. But then she started crying and telling me that she goes through excruciating amounts of pain and she needs the tablets to be able to even move around. She also went on about how I won't understand her pain because I'm a man and I never have to deal with these things. The argument escalated and she got too offended when I told her that men and boys have struggles of their own and she shouldn't be using her period to paint herself as a victim. Okay, buddy. Okay. I just don't want my child to grow up weak-willed and soft. Millions of women before her have gone through life in their period and haven't dropped dead because they had to deal with some pain. It's high time she learned to respect her own body, and so when she was sleeping that night, I threw her ibuprofen away to finally give her a reality check and learn some willpower. She woke up and went ballistic and started throwing a tantrum. She told me she hated me and called me a misogynist because I apparently hate women. I didn't bat an eye when she said she wanted to go back to her mom. I called my ex and told her to pick her up because I really couldn't reason with her. My ex got angry with me when I told her what happened, but she does agree that I didn't deserve to be called misogynistic. But honestly, I was just trying to teach my daughter to have thick skin. When she was younger, she used to play all kinds of sports with me, and we used to have so much fun together, and now she doesn't even want to play catch with me. And then this happened. Am I the astronaut? You know, I'm going to use a line right now that I think applies to the situation and also is a great segue into bringing Candy Thunder up here. And that is, OP, you and me, no uterus, no opinion. Someone who does have one and both uterus and opinion is Candy Thunder. Let's bring her up, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my God, it's Candy Thunder and her uterus.
And my uterus,
and
for the feedback. I think everyone, men and women in chat I'll just say it for everyone. This guy, no uterus, no opinion, in the words of Rachel Green. Also,
if she has irregular cycles, the ibuprofen isn't just to manage the pain, it's to manage the fact that her cycle is irregular, which means that it's going to be worse for her. So the ibuprofen for the 3 days that her period starts will actually help her cycle. Like, he doesn't even know what he's talking about. She's not just using it for pain. It sounds like it was prescribed in a way that they do for a lot of women to help manage their cycles. And I only know this because my sister is one of those people that had to do this when she was younger. So it helps in more ways than one. It's not just to minimize pain. But clearly this douchebag has no idea what the he's talking about.
I think he gave us a tell at the end. This confused me a little bit at first. The ending here, when he's like, she doesn't even want to play catch with me anymore. She used to play sports with me and we'd have all kinds of fun together.
Oh, no.
I think that's a tell. I think that's context that's important though, because this is him saying, I liked it better when she was like a boy. It's him saying, I liked it better. He could relate to her better, but he's used to only feeling functional as a parent when he can treat her like a boy. They played catch, they did sports stuff, and he could sit down with the boy, he feels like, and be like, you don't need ibuprofen, you're just going to have to tough it out. You know what I mean? So he's trying to still treat her like a boy because he doesn't understand girls. And
no, clearly this guy does not understand anything about women.
It's not easy
It's
to
gross,
understand,
dude.
But there has to be like an effort. You have to try.
I mean, if you want a relationship with your child, you have to understand the things that the child is going through and learn more about them. So if you want to communicate effectively and have an open conversation with your daughter about taking ibuprofen on her period, fucking learn about periods and learn what the ibuprofen is actually for, how it helps. And not to mention the fact that, one, we are a victim of our own bodies every single month that we have to have a cycle. Like, and it sucks. It's not fun. It's gross. It's disgusting. Your daughter's 14, which means that she's only been going through this for a short time. It makes me so mad because you just minimized like everything that your daughter is going through. You threw away the medicine that makes her feel better. And you acted like you were doing her a favor to teach her a lesson. This is farther than ASCON 1. Like, to tell your daughter that what she's feeling, you think is, like, in your words, she should just get over it. Like, she doesn't have the right to feel what she feels with her body. And that is, makes me very mad.
Yeah, the period simulator would be a good one for him. I don't know how you get through to somebody who's just like already decided that it's no big deal. You know what I mean?
You don't. You leave. Because this telling someone that they're being a victim because they have menstrual cramps is the most ridiculous bullshit I have ever heard in my life. Especially to a 14-year-old girl who just experienced this.
Is she the only kid?
It sounded like it.
Okay. Yeah, they have okay. OP is only 40. And here's why I bring that up. It's not going to be long before OP is like, man, I need some ibuprofen for these knees, for this back, for the inevitable pain that comes with aging. And that's going to be a really funny time because you're going to be like, oh, you know what? It actually does help quite a bit. And I'm able to get around, do the things I need to do without being hindered as much. Oh, it makes sense. And then maybe you'll realize how big of an ass bag you've been this whole time. And also understand why you're standing there alone, trying to get the ibuprofen bottle open, but your arthritis is so bad you can't. And only if you hadn't have driven everyone else out of your life, you could get that damn bottle open, but you can't.
He has to leave it like on the where the arrows line up at all times.
He's got a hammer out, swinging a hammer at it, still nothing.
Boom.
Candy Thunder with the button press. Taking him into ASCON 1. I think being in pain hurts, right? Being in pain and being made to feel like you're crazy for feeling pain has got to be a cycle that will drive one to madness. So where exactly are you trying to send your daughter here? What is the goal? I guess that's the question I have for OP and everybody who writes a story is, what is your goal? And did this decision take you closer to that goal or further away? Because I feel like the goal you would say you had is to have, to be a good dad and have a great relationship with your daughter. Well, look at this situation now and ask yourself if that took you closer to that goal or further away. And that tells you everything you need to know, OP. Hey there, it's Dusty Thunder, and I have another Reddit story for you. This one is from AITA and is titled, Am I the Astronaut for Refusing to Let My Parents Move In With Me After They Lost Their House? I, 33 female, have been living in my own home for a few years. I bought it with my own money and have worked hard to make it a comfortable and safe place after growing up in a very unstable environment. My parents, 60s, have always been terrible with money, constantly making poor financial decisions despite my efforts to help them budget. Recently, they lost their house due to foreclosure. They reached out to me asking if they could move in temporarily while they get back on their feet. But 2 additional adults would really stretch the limits of my house, and I value my privacy and independence. More importantly, my parents have a history of being overbearing and disrespecting my boundaries. The last time my parents stayed with me, they criticized everything about my lifestyle, rearranged furniture without asking, and even got into an argument with one of my neighbors. I offered to help them find an affordable rental and even offered to pay the first month of rent. I also found government assistance programs they can apply for. They refused, saying that family should stick together and that it was my duty to help them in their time of need. My siblings are divided. My older brother thinks I'm heartless, while my younger sister understands my concerns. Hold up. The siblings are divided? Why aren't the siblings divided on jumping in? Their opinions divided? Wait, where is their effort? Where is their duty? Both of them live in smaller apartments, so they do not have the option to host my parents. Well, fine. They could each take one of them. My parents have been guilt-tripping me, saying they took care of me growing up and now it's my turn to take care of them. My parents are now telling extended family that I'm abandoning them, and I am getting messages from relatives. It's making me second-guess my decision, even though I know my mental state would suffer if they moved in. Am I the astronaut for refusing to let my parents move in with me after they lost their house? Should I be more willing to accommodate them, or am I right to stick to my own well-being and boundaries? I'm feeling very conflicted and could use some outside perspective. You are not the astronaut for protecting yourself. You said it yourself. It was a very unstable upbringing. You already know, based on experience, that this would be a shit show. You know it would be that. Of course they're guilting you into this. Of course all the family members are trying to guilt you into this too, because they don't want to have to take the care of them. You are not getting like an unselfish opinion from anyone. Everyone has their own motives here. Everybody who's telling you that you're an asshole for not doing this is someone who just doesn't want to have to tell them no when they're asking them to stay there. Of course they're trying to guilt you into it. They don't want that shit to roll downhill to them. So here is your unselfish opinion. Protect your mental well-being. Protect yourself from the damage you know they are going to inflict because you've seen it happen before. Protect yourself. Choose you like they never did. And unfortunately, you're going to have to just turn off the switch that listens to family members. Anybody who tells you you're an asshole and selfish for doing this is an asshole with selfish intentions. You're going to have to turn off the switch. You're going to have to turn off some notifications. You're going to have to block some people. You're going to have to mute some people. You're going to have to learn to not let it affect you to continue protecting that safe space. You created this boundary already. Just reinforce it now through whatever means necessary. If people choose to disrespect that boundary, they choose to not be a part of your life. Protect your peace. How long did it take and how hard did you fight to get it? Protect it. She'll never get him out, Irma. Never. Let one of the siblings get a bigger place. There you go. Of course, their opinions are divided. Like, oh, we just happened to live in a small apartment, which we did on purpose so this would never happen to us. But we don't really know what you should do. Oh, your place is too small. Both of you. So you're both smarter than I am. Oh, yeah. Okay. Hey, Dusty Thunder here, and I wanted to thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed that content, and if you did, please make sure to like, subscribe, and most importantly, share.
Also, you can find swag and so much more at dusty-thunder.com, and you'll find even more content on all of our platforms. We're on TikTok, YouTube. We now have an official Facebook page that we'll be posting stories to as well. We have podcasts on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and so much more. You can see all of our content platforms on Linktree, which is linked in my bio. Engage with us wherever you're enjoying content, and do your best to avoid the Askonauts today. Thanks again.